Eisteddfod. 1, 2, 3. Oes gafr eto, oes i'r ein dro, ar y craig o'r maer, i'r adran crwydro. Gafr wen, ni a fin wen, roi'r bonwen, estes wen ac yn ddod, wen. Eisteddwch yn ddistaw.
Good morning, Mr. Williams. I'm calling to see how the children are progressing with their use of Welsh.
But, Professor Humphreys, you were most welcome to our school.
As you know, the last time I called, I was concerned that in this Welsh district, there should be more effort to get the children using the Welsh language, and also that Welsh reading should be made more interesting.
As it happens, we are busy preparing for our St. David's Day concert. Here's a programme of events. I am sure you'd like to see some of the children perform one of the items of the programme.
That would be very good, Mr. Williams. As you know, the most important thing for the inspectors is to see the children learning.
Sefo. 1, 2, 3. Oes gafr eto, oes i'r ein dro, ar y craig o'r maer, i'r adran crwydro. Gafr las, fi a fin las, boed y bonlas, estes las ac yn ddod, las. Da iawn plant, ac i nawr fe fyddwn yn perfformio'r y dawns gwerin, yr esgob o Fangor.
Da iawn, plant. Gwaith arbennig. Sut ydych chi'n mwynhau siarad Cymraeg?
Da iawn, diolch, sir.
Ydych chi'n mwynhau darllen Cymraeg yn yr ysgol?
Ydw, sir. Pob dydd, diolch, sir.
Well, Mr. Williams. Children certainly seem to be progressing well with the use of Welsh and with Welsh traditions. Very, very commendable.
Yeah, would you like to come into my study?
However, there are a few things I must raise with you concerning attendance figures, Mr. Williams. Far too many children are taking time off during the gardening and haymaking season. I know they need to help their parents, but this will be affecting their progress in school. I've also noted that you close the school every time the fair comes to Ystrad or Ystrad. I know the children and teachers need to relax, but is once a term really necessary?
I understand understanding what you were saying, but in our defence, one of those days off we sang a circus. It was such a treat for the children to see the animals and clowns.
Very well. We must try to keep the attendance figures up.
We were very pleased that even during the lockout of the miners, the figures remained high at 92.8%, sir.
Can I ask how you managed to do this, Mr. Williams?
Well, the main factor is that we provided a hot lunch every day in the voluntary canteen for the children striking miners.
An excellent idea, Mr. Williams.
Thank you. We also have a ladies' committee who provide second-hand boots and milk for the malnourished children.
Excellent, excellent. Lastly, what about school discipline, Mr. Williams?
This is improving, sir.
Mr. Williams! Will you remind the pupils that they should be quiet when they leave the classroom? The children must learn to behave appropriately and quietly.
Yes, sir.
I'll be back next term, Mr. Williams.
Miss Daniels, I think we need a cup of tea, Miss Daniels. These school inspectors really take it out of me. At least they were impressed with our use of Welsh and our attendance figures. By the way, do you know when the next circus is coming to Ystrad?
For this next part, we're going to split into two groups. The first group are coming with me to watch the scene based upon the famous Dan Evans. So the first 6 bros would like to come with me, please.
Here on BBC One now, Parkinson.
Yes, tonight my special guest is Mr. Dan Evans. I would like to start by asking you to tell us something about your early life in the mining community.
I was born to the small hamlet of Caerleon, which is in the parish of Abercrave.
What would everyday life be like?
We had to carry water from a tap at the roadside. Each house had its own pigsty in which 1 or 2 pigs were reared and fattened to feed the family over the long winter months. Most people also kept a few chickens to provide eggs.
What was the main occupation in the area?
Coal, of course. Apart from the grocer, shoemaker, hairdresser, publican, minister and vicar, all men worked down the mines.
You mentioned the minister and the vicar. Was it a very religious community?
Very few people did not go to chapel, but the men also went to the pub to meet and discuss politics, current affairs and sport.
What about the Welsh traditions of singing and so on? Was the chapel important in this context?
The chapel certainly played an important role. Once a year, a singing festival, or Gymanfa Gani, was held. This meant months of rehearsals, learning the hymns and perfecting them. Also, many children were given the opportunity to develop their reading through chapel Bible classes.
This brings us to your education. When did you leave school to become a miner?
At 13, when I was 11, the schoolmaster wanted me to sit what they called the 11 plus. I wouldn't do it. He came down to see my mother and did his best to persuade me to do so, but I still refused. There were 2 reasons for this. Firstly, my friends were not sitting it. Secondly, I felt like I would look a sissy if I wore the school cap. We were conditioned for pit life at a very tender age. We couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Can you tell us something about your first day as a miner?
I arrived for my first day full of my own importance. The entrance of the mine looked rather sinister to me. It went down very steeply and I could see the lamplight way down the drift. We went inside and waited until our eyesight became accustomed to the darkness. Moch and gweld, we called it in Welsh. I brought my own shovel which my father had brought for me, and we filled 4 trams that day. I was so glad to see daylight again when we returned to the surface after the shift had finished. I now know in my gut that I should have sat the county examination. I should have listened to my schoolmaster, but it was too late. The die had been cast. I had now been stamped a miner. Mother was waiting anxiously for me at home. I would not confess to her my feelings, but I believe she knew. Mothers have an uncanny way to read your innermost thoughts.
Moving along in terms of your career, you went on to work as a miner in Canada. How did a miner from a small hamlet in South Wales end up working in Canada?
I emigrated to Canada in 1923. I felt that life could not be much worse anywhere than in South Wales at the time. I eventually found work in a coal mine and the wages were very good.
If it's a not too personal question, why did you return to Wales?
The answer is simple. I was deported. Some of the boys and I decided to take a trip to the States to see if we could find more work in Pennsylvania. We stopped at a roadside cafe for a meal, and as we were eating, the police noticed that we did not adopt the American style of cleaning your teeth with a toothpick after eating. They arrested us there and then for being out-of-work immigrants, sent us to jail and shipped us back to Wales.
Can you tell us something about your involvement with the Miners' Federation?
Well, I had always stood up for the rights of the miners, and I suppose I was a bit of a rebel in my youth. I had been outraged by the unfairness of the pay and conditions for the miners.
So would you say that your upbringing and local community influenced your political thinking?
It definitely played a part. The village of Abercrave was a tolerant place in which to live. We had families from Spain, France, Belgium and Ireland. We made jokes of our differences, but the work united us and tied the whole community together. I suppose it was only natural in this spirit of tolerance that I should become interested in communism, but I was also driven by the struggle of a minimum wage for my fellow workers.
But what about the part that you played in the political film The Silent Village?
Yes, you could say that I played one of the leading roles. This was in 1943. We felt it was so important to show the world what the Nazis and the fascists were doing to the workers and mining communities across Europe.
Last but not least, there's the part you played in improving the Miners' Rehabilitation Centre and the Bournemouth Convalescent Home. These are amazing achievements. You must feel really proud to have given so much to your fellow workers.
Well, as you may know, I lost my own brother in a mining accident, and therefore I knew firsthand the devastating effect this had on the family. Welfare and support was and is so important.
On that note, I think we'll end. Thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you agree that we've been honoured to speak with Didan this evening. In Welsh, they call him Caraglo, Carag, often translated as the anthracite agitator, but perhaps more safe, the more literal translation, a giant in the Welsh coalfield. Thank you and good night.
So next up we have the positive scene based upon the poster we discovered and the events are all real.
Oh, that was a good stay, I'll give you that.
Thank you. Hey, Dan! You never leave bright red in the Cymru. Hey, the dogs are part of the regional of it. After all, those fascists have got Oswald Mosley come and speak in Swansea. He's been in Cardiff already. Look.
What? Mosley said the fascist movement is a great spiritual appeal, so the Welsh character can express itself through fascism. Hurrah for the black shirts, what?
Oh, here we go. How clear did this get out of
It goes against everything we've been working against. For years, Welshmen have been fighting injustice, and now here it is on our own doorstep. It's like Cam said, you've got to fight it. Parallel everything we've been working for.
Solidarity of the working man. It's the only way to stand up to these things. It's the capitalist scum who put us in this position, allowed them in. That Mosley is meant to be a socialist. What's turned him against it, I will never fathom.
Right, what are we going to do?
Do? We've got to fight it down. We can't let him speak. We won't let him speak.
Do, have you been under there listening all this time, boy?
I love to hear you talking politics.
Good lad.
What have we got there then, boys?
Ooh, we've got the pamphlets printed. Have a look, Di.
Diane.
We need to mobilise the men. Fascism can have no place in our country. First means test, now this.
You have to stand up for the workers' rights.
Not just here, all across the world. There's trouble brewing in Spain now.
We'll stand there with our comrades if we need to.
Right.
Let's go and get our men together.
Fascist out, 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 fascist out.
Now we have the miners' lunch scene, and all the quotes in this scene are based upon a recorded transcript. So Let's follow me.
New here?
Aye. First day.
How are you finding it?
Diane, diolch.
Hey, careful. They don't like you speaking Welsh down here. The Bashes don't speak it. Fred and the Plot in the Revolution, I think.
It sounds horrible.
Oh, it's not so bad. It's hard, but there's a lot going for it.
Like what?
Well, the camaraderie for one thing. The friendship. You would trust your life to the men you work with. You do it every time you come down here. Remember, a stupid miner is a dead miner.
I suppose so.
No suppose about it, I'm telling you. I remember once when King Edward was working next to a pump.
What? The real King Edward?
Yes, the king was working down a mine. No, you dull bugger. That was his nickname. Di Evans, his name was. But he looked like a potato, so we called him King Edward. We already had a Spud. There's a lot of nicknames around here. Face in a bush. He's got a big beard and lots of hair. Heavy mortgage. He's got a big house and works non-stop. Di, who had an accident and lost a bit of his leg. He's Di up and down. And then there's Di 18 months, of course.
Die 18 months?
Yeah, lost half his year in an accident. So he's got a year and a half.
Bit cruel, innit?
No, man. No offence taken. It's all part of it. It's all taken in the spirit it's given. Anyway, where was I? Oh, aye, King Edward. Well, he'd fallen asleep next to the pump, so I stopped the pump for a joke. When he woke up, he was up to his waist in water. He thought he was drowning.
That's funny. I like a practical joke.
We all do. But there's a time and place for humour, mind you. You never tamper with the first aid or life-saving equipment. You never know when it'll be needed.
Lots of accidents, are there?
A few. Some more serious than others. I've seen plenty of fingers carried off in bags. A few fake accidents too. Especially on a Friday. Someone is dying to see the sunshine.
I bet.
If there's an accident on a Friday afternoon, there'll be a queue a mile long to carry the guy out. And if there is one, hope it'll happen before lunch.
Why?
Because we get his sandwiches then. Shared with tobacco and flask too.
Oh, I see.
Well, you can't leave it hanging around. The rats, see?
Hey, I've seen a few already.
These are nothing. I've seen rats eating the food out of a man's hand. Big buggers too. Thousands of them. In one mine I worked in.
I'm not keen on them, I've got to be honest.
Well, that's when a cat comes in handy, see? We had a cat once. I'll never forget. Mabel, her name was. She spent a lot of time with Monty the horse. Mabel got to go very old, and I came one day to find she'd been flattened by the horse. Those two animals spent a lot of time together, and I'm convinced that horse knew that it was kinder to put out of her misery. There's a definite affiliation between those two animals. I'm convinced of it. True story.
Oh, don't put me with a horse. They stink. Farting and dumping all over the place.
Well, don't let the man just hear you say that. They think more of a horse than they do the men. An horse is expensive. It's easier and cheaper to replace you than a horse.
I never thought of it like that before.
Never underestimate a horse. Very intuitive animals. I've worked with some booties in my time. Had a strong link with lots of them. Your horse will always find you, and it can always find its way out in the pitch darkness. Just hold on to the horse's tail to be led out. I had a horse once, Gellert. He was very tall, and had to bend knees to get through the tunnels. They say a horse can't bend, but he could, definitely. Very intelligent animals. More intelligent than some humans I know. It's not just humans who have accidents neither. I saw a horse being taken into the shaft when he kicked the doors open, fell down, and was in pieces at the bottom. The heat was unbelievable. Hell of a smell. I'll never forget that. Right, better get back to work. Better dig up some more black gold to make someone wealthy.
All right, boy.
Remember, you'll have tremendous friendship. Know each other. Know who the families are. It's a stronger link than you could put into words. You'll meet each other years later and you'll still be linked. It's part of who we are. It's wonderful.
Right, I'll be seeing you.
I'll see you around. Maybe.
Ah, there you are. I was worried about you. Why are you eating on your own? Come and join the boys.
Oh no, I was talking to the old bloke.
Old bloke? What old bloke? It's only us down here, man.
The old bloke. He went down there.
That shaft hasn't been used for years. There was an accident and it fell out of use. 3 men were killed. One on his last day before he was to retire. Come on, come and join us.
Okay, I hope you're all ready to sing because now we've got choir rehearsals and you're all in for a treat because we've got music from Mr. Gunlice's most famous composer, Daniel Prothero.
Be honest, I'd be away getting out sick about it. And when I fell asleep, I had a nightmare that he'd be crushed. It affected me my whole life.
I would worry every day and grip his blackened hand.